Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, depending on where and when you're watching this broadcast. I'm Thomas Festa, my friends, and this is Disclosure Tonight. Happy Saturday, May 16th. This is the day of the week that we go ahead and take our broadcast time and turn it back to 10 p.m. London time or 2 p.m. Pacific. How about that, friends? Let's go ahead and get to it. Got some interesting happenings from the live episode of Weaponized last night from the McMinnville UFO Festival in Oregon. Can't wait to get to it. But first, let's see who the heck we have out in our chat and get this thing going. All right, let's welcome in Amanda and April. I see Captain K, Craig Smith, Digger Dog's out there along with Firefly. We got Flavio Eduardo and Geraldine Durazio. Janny the Manny's out there along with JJ, JCat Meow, Jericho. We got Johnny Geldhill and Kelly Broten, those piercing blue eyes. Good to see you, Kelly. We got Lori G, Mr. Drew's out there along with Randy, Robert, John, Sam, and Scooby Dooby Gooby. I see Shloto de Puma. I think I've got that. I probably close enough. Stargazer, I'll get it better tomorrow. Stephen Mateo's out there. Let's welcome in Var Kalem, Weedlander, and our dear friend Yellow Tommy Tanker, also known as Andy. How about that? On that note, let's go ahead and jump in the back and see who we've got there. Oh, I always go to the wrong one. There we go. Daryl, my friend, how the hell are you?
I'm doing fine. How
are you doing? Pretty good. Did you survive the back chat last night?
Yes, I did. I think you and I probably signed off about the same time.
Yeah.
Chat is where it's at, people.
Absolutely. And by the way, here's the national security.
Although it's a virgin right now.
Oh, there you go. Oh, my goodness. It's one of those days. Yeah, Michael will be joining us shortly. He's dropping off the kids at the pool right now, so got to have some fun with it, my friends. Yeah, like Tim Senor is not in the back today. He's over at the McMinnville Festival. He was there last night. Got some great little clips from him, but he's got an entire video that he was going to share with us to show today, but it's still stuck in upload at YouTube. So we'll not play that one for now, but if it does pop up during the show, we will do a breaking UFO news alert and start playing it. On that note, our top story of tonight, yes, Dylan Borland's been outed by Jeremy Corbell as being part of a program called RUBIX Cube. Interesting name, to say the least. We got Immaculate Constellation. Now we got something called RUBIX Cube. What do you think is next, Daryl?
Simon. I mean,
yeah.
I played with Rubik's Cube and Simon when I was a kid, so maybe Simon.
Yeah, Merlin maybe. So let's get
Rock'em Sock'em Robots.
Oh gosh, yes. On that note, let's go ahead and we've got several clips. We'll go ahead and play from it, and then we'll go ahead and talk about each one as it's going on. So let me go ahead and bring this up and welcome everybody again. Let me get the chat turned on the bottom. Here we go. Oh, behave. On that note, let's go ahead and get this up and going. Let's get to Video Thomas and get this across and set up a little bit for the rest of the show, so I don't have to worry about it. All right, so coming from Neanderthal, Jeremy Corbell says he was told by someone in the ODNI that Dylan Borland testified about a UFO program called RUBIX Cube. First concern, Daryl. That would have been discussed in a skiff, right?
Yes.
Because it's classified.
Right.
However, someone in the ODNI is a leaker.
Oh, no.
Not a good thing. It puts people at risk, but it's not just for putting people at risk in the community. It puts people in risk from the government and the deep state as well. Oh, man. Not a good thing. So let's see what how Dylan handles this whole thing, and it's a little 2-minute clip. Let's get to it and see where it takes us. Here we go.
Okay, so as a journalist, so George and I have been exposed to certain things, and here's the deal tonight. I talked with our lawyer in the hotel right before we came here. I was told by an ODNI agent that Dylan testified to ICIG the police, of the intelligence agencies, that there is a UFO program, and it's called RUBIX Cube.
That. Let's go back and see his expression. I'll pause it.
RUBIX Cube.
Oh, he does not look comfortable on that one. Here we go.
That's what he said. That's what I heard from the OVNI, which they should.
No video in the back?
Yeah, he is definitely not looking comfortable.
Can you see what we're playing here in the back, Daryl? Oh, you can't hear audio in the back.
Colin.
No, you should be.
I can hear the audio. I can see the video.
All right, Michael was just saying there's no video in the back, but I don't think it's us.
Hey, do you hear my audio okay?
Yeah, just fine, yeah.
Okay.
Otherwise, I wouldn't be answering you. Okay, let's play through it.
From the OVNI, which they shouldn't be calling me and telling me what was described in the skiff, should they? Right. So I'm a journalist, so I listened, and I'm testifying to you, believe me or not, I'm a bearded tattoo journalist with a great mentor. You don't need to believe me. Project Rubik's Cube. Dylan, I'm not going to look at you. Have you ever testified to ICIG about a UAP program or containing UAP called Project Rubik's Cube?
Let me collect my thoughts. I am not in a skiff. I am not going to jail. I can neither confirm or deny, but if you want me to answer that question, ask for amnesty for the whistleblowers, as Congress and the executive branch should give it to us, and I'll answer that question gladly.
Holy cow. That was a little tough for him.
I could not understand what he just said there. What did he say? I can't.
At the
last 5 things he said.
All right, hold on.
For the whistleblowers, as Congress and the executive branch should give it to us, and I'll answer that question gladly.
Hold on, let me get to it again. On.
Gladly?
Yeah,
I'll
gladly.
answer the question gladly.
On.
I am not in a skiff.
I'm not in a skiff.
I am not going to jail.
I am not going to jail as his voice shakes.
I can neither confirm or deny, but if you want me to answer that,
I can neither confirm nor deny, but if you want me to answer that question,
ask for amnesty.
Ask for amnesty
For the whistleblowers.
for the whistleblowers,
As Congress and the executive branch should give it
ask Congress and the executive branch.
to us, and I'll answer that question gladly.
You'll answer that question. So, Jeremy's finally bringing out the guns, it looks like. He's finally taking some of the information that he's been sitting on, that he's talked about for years, Daryl. And he's finally going ahead and, well, making it very uncomfortable for someone who he has in his audience on the guest. I'm not sure if he talked to him about that and prepped him for it. Hopefully he did. Andy, your hand is up.
Yeah, for me, this is a difficult one. Because obviously I don't want to prompt anything that would send the guy to jail. I don't even know him. You know, I could say the body language says it all, but you know, that was quite something to put him on the spot like that. We all need the information out here, but you know, this is a serious matter. People, you know, can joke and things in chat. But yeah, there are serious consequences for things like this. You know, yeah, we know the name of this project's out there. Whether anybody's good enough at digging, even if it's in you know, out there anywhere on the internet or anything out there. But yeah, I think that was quite a potentially dangerous thing to put forward to him.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. Yeah. It's one of those things, if you can't talk about it, you can't talk about it. Can confirm nor deny. Either way, it just puts that guy in a really scary situation, yes. Coming to us from a comment from Gene Sticko on X. Here we go. Gene Sticko says, Corbell is 100% right in the video. People from the ODNI Gov should not be calling him and providing information about what was said in the skiff. Whether they think they're fine because they're in a signal room, in a signal group that's well known out there or not, it's a very dangerous thing. And considering the number of people with access to the information is so small, this should be a very simple matter to choose down, especially since DNI Gabbard actually reduce the number of people that are actually staff in the office now. So DNI Gabbard, Tulsi Gabbard, has this leak been investigated and resolved? What is your policy on your staff phoning journalists, or on Signal for that matter, about whistleblower testimony, and how can the ODNI Gov be trusted to protect whistleblowers when staff are leaking testimony? Yes, this is the kind of thing that puts whistleblowers' lives at risk. Yes, Andy? You don't have to raise your hand again.
Yeah. On that, the fact that this has been brought forward in a skiff, there are going to be very, very few people who have access to that skiff who would know this information. So,
or a number of people in the office who would have access to the information. It's not like she has hundreds of thousands of people working for her.
So I would expect it would be fairly easy. Obviously, we know it's not Dylan who's brought this information out, but you don't need to go cast a net over a lot of people,
right?
To find where this information's come
because
out
he
from.
gave out the information legally in a skiff to the DNI or the ODNI, not the DNI, to the DNI. But still, it's just, it's a mess for him. Let's just read this a bit more. And for GOP Oversight House Intel, Representative Rick Crawford, Tom Cotton, Cryan Chuck Schumer, Rep Luna, Rep Eric Burleson, and Tim Burchett, what actions are you taking to protect whistleblowers when it seems that there are leaks at the highest levels? I think the American people and whistleblowers deserve a straightforward answer, as this is not the first time Jeremy Corbell has conveyed sensitive information from the ODNI being leaked to him, wigged with details and opinions from ODNI staff. Yeah, dangerous situation to say the least. Not trying to throw Jeremy out. Well, people do leak stuff, and unfortunately, he pointed out it's someone within the ODNI, so that does narrow the possibilities from a lot. From many to a few. Man, that's a tough one, Daryl.
Yes, as tough as my microphone issues, apparently. I don't.
Yeah, but we also know that there's a rogue group running out of the ODNI right now that's going after the whistleblowers.
Yep.
The Directive Initiative Group, the DIG, that obviously Tulsi Gabbard has no clue about.
That's right, Mike.
And they're also the ones that oversee Arrow, if you remember.
Yep.
Yeah. And if Tim Phillips would have shown up at the Galactic Family podcast that I was on the other day, we would have put the questions directly to him. But he mysteriously bailed for some reason and would not show up.
You didn't scare him off, did you, Mike?
No, maybe a little.
That's a good thing, though, my friend. And this next one, Dylan Borland says he believes the triangle UFO he saw was not our technology, and it's not Russian or Chinese either. Let's see what Dylan has to say about his encounter in this candid piece about the UFO triangle that he saw, or the triangle UFO.
God.
Oh, this is a good one, Mike. There we go.
You had a friend of mine that I met.
Oh, God, this video is on.
Something similar in Florida.
Okay, I have just cranked up the video all the way for the audience. The back, let me go ahead and make sure you've got the audio cranked up all the way here as well. Yeah, you've got it all the way. We'll deal with it. Here we go. I've got to crank it up in the studio enough so I can hear it. Okay, here we go.
You had a friend of mine that I met after me who had seen something similar in Florida.
Who are you talking about?
Dan. We're good.
Was he on my podcast?
He was.
George, he was on a podcast. So you guys, there was somebody else that saw one of these triangle crap.
So the reason
The weaponized episode.
The reason I bring it up is I want to be really careful and clear on that.
Gawkerell, by the way, if no one's forget, Dan Gawkerell, Daniel Gawkerell, watch that episode.
I try to be polite with people.
Hey, he's on,
I know.
He's on weaponized.
I happen to know the one I saw at Langley Air Force Base was on ours.
How?
As we discussed, based off of classification guidance with Arrow, who was mandated, because they did not, it's called Original Classification Authority. So what that means is agencies in different jobs in the IC have the authority to classify information at the level they determine. Arrow did not have that. Tim Phillips, in his interview with Chris Sharp, and you both talked with Chris about this, Tim Phillips acknowledged he did not have it. So Arrow had to go to the agencies when whistleblowers came forward, and agencies would report to Arrow what the classification of what we are testifying to at Arrow is. Arrow classified certain things, but Arrow did not classify that triangle, and if it was ours, they would have classified it as they did with other things related.
Oh shit, I'm just realizing something. I'm like a caveman. So in your assessment, because of the classification process, that triangle you saw that day over or near the NASA hangar, where's Mike Gold when we need him, was not ours, meaning United States.
I am 99.99999% sure. There's other things with it that are classified that it did do.
Whose was it then? China, Russia, whose was it?
My opinion, none of the above.
So, Arrows had the little fingers in it, and they didn't if you want to call it classify, their evaluation of this. Interesting.
You want to know why? Because we talked about this on the show when he first came out, when he came forward. This is the schmuck that said that he was hospitalized, and he was in a cot, and he turned around and wanted to have a cigarette. So he got up out of the cot, and the person that was there standing guard over him let him go out to have a cigarette.
Yeah, which is
and
common.
when he was out there, he saw some black triangle overhead.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. No evidence, no video.
Well,
no
I know it's like the
corroboration.
stuff that I've seen and other people have seen. Sometimes when you're in that situation, you don't have it, but apparently RO did investigate the situation, and when they took the results of it and they didn't classify it for whatever reasons. It basically pointed out that it wasn't one of ours because it wasn't a classified program, and I believe him when he says it's not China's or Russia's.
Or they didn't classify it because there was no evidence to support his claims. Therefore, it's just another story of somebody claiming to see something without any proof or evidence to support it.
All right.
In that case, they'll just take it and won't classify anything and move on, which is also what Arrow does.
All right. I think this is a good time for a poll.
Okay.
Okay.
And the other idiot that was supposed to be standing guard over him didn't claim to corroborate any of his claims of what he saw outside. So it's just his word, and that's it. No evidence.
Well, let's see where our audience takes this.
We even had Gene Sticko on here, if you remember, talking about this with us. And he really didn't find Dylan Borland to be too credible, if you remember.
He may have, but yeah, well, everybody has different.
About it.
Everyone has different ways of seeing these things. Let's see where our audience takes it. If I got a sound effect around here, I could play. I think I do. Oh, let's get this together. Where did I put it? All right, Google, set a timer for 1 minute. Okay, Google, set a timer for 1 minute and 30 seconds. All right, so far, Mike, we've got our 48 votes in. They're pouring in pretty quickly today. So far, 69% of our audience says true. Dylan's account of a triangle, they believe it, not of human origin. 33% of our audience right now is saying false. They don't believe it. So, yeah, there's a bunch of different ways to get it. We don't always agree on it on the same ways. I see where you're coming from, and this is just something we have to agree to disagree.
Right. I'm obviously on the side of the third of the audience that doesn't believe his claims.
Yeah. That's
Not
fine.
without proof or evidence. Yeah, no, it's fine. You know, everybody sees things, like you said, their own way, but that's
Everyone
where I'm
sees
coming
things
from.
through a different lens. So with 40
Right.
seconds left, folks, we have 77 votes in. Let's see if we can get this up a little bit higher. We'll be ending this. We like to do quick surveys during the show. All right. Anyway, Daryl, your thoughts on this? How would you see this?
Yeah, I went voted with Mike on this one. There's something about his character and that I'm not really jiving with.
All right.
I'd be curious about Gene Stickel's opinion.
Yeah.
Who's right there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I had
Oh,
to
gee.
I had to go with false only because I don't believe that it is of non-human origin. So I think the you're right, Mike. What you said, there's a lot of things about the story overall, and a lot of the pieces that are difficult to reconcile. But having spent a little more time with Whistling Mike and seeing a lot of his things a little more in depth, I think if Borland saw anything of a triangle nature, it was of human technology, and it was of foreign origins,
Oh, was a foreign origin.
not human.
Gotcha. Interesting to say the least. Now, going back to the first clip, you had basically pointed out something that I pointed out as well, and we're in total agreement on that person in the ODNI who's leaking stuff out is putting people's well-being at risk and our national security.
Well, not only it's weird because there's several aspects of it. There's certainly the idea there's somebody within ODNI who feels free enough to pick up the phone to Corbell and discuss classified information, right, and reveal classified information. So begs the question: if they do it for that, what else would they potentially do it for? And there's all the consequences that come along with that. Obviously, whistleblowers themselves. But there's a flip side of that coin as well, where Corbell is actually demonstrating a lot of irresponsibility in protecting his sources if there are indeed people from these agencies calling him. Because we're not talking about huge numbers, tens of thousands of people who have access to what was said and what happened inside the skiff. We're talking, 3 to 5 people, and that's if we're generous, including the lawyer and maybe some of the technical people that help out of there. So, if the person from ODNI is committing a criminal act by reaching out and discussing this information, counterintelligence within ODNI should simply be circling around who was in there, who had access to, it's a relatively easy case to solve from a counterintelligence standpoint. And so, that person should be getting fired, going to jail, all of the things that goes along with releasing classified information. Now, we don't have any visibility if that's happened, but I think there's been enough of it now that it's been said enough times. Corbell has indicated enough times there are these leaks coming out of the ODNI. I think, Gabbard needs to address it head on and clarify that, yes, somebody did this and we've taken action and they're being prosecuted or they've been disciplined. Or she needs to say, no, we investigated it, never happened. And then, somebody has to ask Corbell what he was talking about, and we get into a he said, she said.
Right. Mike, your thoughts? No, we lost. Yeah, great point, Jeans. I completely agree where you're coming from. It's just
I apologize for that. Kids asked me something real quick.
Yeah.
No, I agree with Gene, which is why I made that point about Dylan Borland, because he was here when we had that discussion about Borland. And I agree with him 100%. He's right. So now that we're moving forward on this, because of the issues coming up from Corbell, There's a lot of different ways to look at this with Borland's account. He also made some other claims about being heavily involved with UAP programs secretly for the government, but never explained any of that because he claimed that he couldn't talk about it. But somebody who had a relatively low level in the military is another reason to be suspicious of his claims, unless he can back up through, which so far he hasn't been able to.
We're starting to lose every other one of your words, Mike.
Done. Oh, again with my.
It's starting again. God damn it! It seems not. We're out.
Yeah.
You're not the only one with audio problems. Yeah.
Okay. So now I went back to cellular. How about now?
Now let's say it again.
Okay. So a lot of the claims that Dylan Borland has made so far hasn't been substantiated with anything to back it up. And we had that discussion with Gene when this first became an issue when we were talking about it. I don't think anything has changed, to be honest with you, from then to now. And it's been a while. The only thing Dylan Borland has been repeating is how he wants to get paid and he wants to have protection and wants to be funded.
No, that wasn't Dylan. That was Matthew Brown.
And Dylan Borland.
Okay.
Because if you, Gene, you remember when we were talking about how they wanted to have some sort of a whistleblower fund and they wanted the public to start contributing to it because they feel that for what they dealt with from the government without being able to back any of it up, that they need to be able to support their families?
Yeah, there's quite a bit going on, over the last, particularly this week, that is painting, I don't think, a very flattering picture of what's going on behind the scenes when it comes to all these guys. Let me say, I like Dylan. I've had the opportunity to have a couple of discussions with him. I think I always had the feeling he's being handled, and I think Matthew Brown similarly. Right. And earlier this week, there was on X, a woman wrote a post about how there needed to be more money in ufology. And it was her personal thing about being a creator and this and that. But Matthew Brown's response was like the most fascinating one, because he was talking about the need to unionize for the UAP workforce. And it's like there is no UAP workforce. There is no boss against whom to unionize. But then he's talking about and these contracts and business arrangements, and that how did his perspective of ufology or becoming a whistleblower involve contracts and business arrangements
and paychecks? And there's no one that makes payments for those paychecks.
To the degree that he's so convinced this is a business that he's already looking for the shop steward.
But Matt Brown has tried to have podcasts and other stuff. Is he kind of maybe pointing to people who are backed by Peter Thiel at this point? And there's several out there in the UFO community making big podcasts at this time, like Jesse Michaels and others.
But that still doesn't reconcile. A union. It doesn't. Right, and you're right. It's a independent media landscape.
Bingo.
Right? Everyone's doing their own thing. You're competing for market. Everybody is competing for market share of a niche market. Everyone is trying to bring their own spin to it that makes them rise. And yes, there are others who have some sort of corporate backing. But I think, when it comes to Matthew Brown and we look at, the fact that he just came out through the Corbell Knapp, pre-approved disclosure pipeline, that there seems to be contracts and business arrangements involved in that he doesn't think are particularly fair or he's happy with.
Well, Gene, didn't you bring up a while ago when we went into detail on this, when I think we were having this discussion initially, and there was a group, you said, of people who had criminal backgrounds that were trying to get like public relations and contracts for some of these figures?
Well, right. It's a marketing company that the UAP community is their only client, and they have a lot of figures. And I've been on other spaces and have, talked, about that. And again, even on this post about, from the woman writing about her experience trying to be a blogger and make a career, they were on there saying, yes, this is why we do marketing for this space. And it's like, people, this is not about marketing. We're not marketing evidence. We are not, this is about a truth or the pursuit of truth and disclosure, not who has
not
the
pay
best
for play.
story, right? Yeah, and
we all do this. You, me, Thomas, we're all involved in this. We don't get a fucking paycheck to do this, not at all.
No,
right.
I mean, and that's what it's. There is a. I mean, to me, it's just exposed. There is a serious disconnect happening out there that I don't think the public, the consumers here, let's say, are really have their heads around that. There is a deep chasm between those truly doing investigative and disclosure work and those producing disclosure themed content, for which they're monetizing the pursuit of disclosure rather than trying to do something that actually achieves it. And those two things can't, live together in harmony. And you certainly can't have people who have already proven that they will do anything for a buck, including defrauding other people,
right?
Then leading the charge of the major voices in this space. It's like I always said, second chances are right. I totally believe second chances, totally believe in redemption stories and whatnot. But even for a major corporation, like when I was in oil and gas,
right?
There's a degree of liability and risk management you have to do, right?
Of course,
you might have been you might be a welder who has a felony record, and we need a welder. But I'm not going to hire you as a welder if you were convicted of arson. Right? I'm not going to hire you for accounts payable if you were convicted of fraud.
Right.
And this is what we're looking at is this UAP economy, and a lot of these key figures that are, number one, they're not transparent about what's marketing and what's not, what the relationships and financial entanglements are between them and their circles, and who they appear with and who appears on their shows, because there's a ton of that's going on, right?
Right.
And that their evidence is being, their evidence isn't evidence, it's product placement.
Right.
And that there's a lot of other things going on that aren't getting the headlines, that should be getting the headlines, because there's marketing agencies involved just pushing people with a product.
It's not even a product. It's not even a product, Gene. It's not a product. They're pushing their own narrative that can't be substantiated or corroborated. There is no actual evidence. See, for instance, you wrote a book about the work that your father-in-law did back in the Soviet Union 40 years ago on UAP research. You put out a documentary. You do appearances talking about the legitimate work that he did that's been verified by multiple sources as legitimate. And this is what you put out there. You also provide the ability for the public to access that book free online if they want to research it. So you're not really doing this as product placement or getting paid for that content. You're just trying to get to the truth, like we all are. And that's one of the reasons why we don't get fucking paid to do this or put our time in.
Right. We're just putting the evidence out there and trying to break it down and help people understand it and understand its place. But you can't do that when,
you're somebody making a claim that you can't substantiate or prove.
Right. And the proof that they use is the validation by the other people within this same network. It's true because so-and-so said it's true.
Well, because Corbell wrote it out and talked to him about it, and this is the claims that he made. But that doesn't really mean proof in a court of law or to the public. It's just another story.
Right, but it gets all convoluted in the in people's, as I call it, affinity bias for the personalities.
That's true too.
This is where I think this is why there's so much confusion, why there's division, and why we really can't. It's so difficult to move the needle forward and so slow because the community's easily distracted. They easily forget what they were, fighting for yesterday because, it's like a cat with a red laser, right? They just point that red laser in another direction and boom, off everybody goes. And they forget about everything they were working towards in the first place.
Right. But I think it's a multifaceted problem. You have individuals that seemingly come out of nowhere. They weren't publicly known beforehand. They make all sorts of claims that they can't back up or prove. They have other people talking about those claims, and then they want to get paid for that. That's the disconnect, I think, because there is nobody specifically out there that's paying anybody for any of this right now. There just isn't. So if they want to make a name for themselves and a reputation, and they want to have other people talking about it, and they feel that they have a need or a right to get paid for that, it's not going to go the way that they expect. Unless they form a cult, like someone like Dr. Stephen Greer, DC Muscle Wolf himself, and start putting out, $10,000 spaghetti dinners and having people pay for that. But other than that, you're not really going to get a paycheck going out and speaking about this.
Yeah.
Well, unless you've got book deals or money coming in from different conferences that you're going to and such. Yeah, that's about where the money comes from, doesn't it, Gene? And also from book sales.
Yeah. And, and again, my opinion, I think, looking across the landscape and what's developed over at least the last year, that I've been intimately in this, I think Dylan and Matthew Brown were really almost a test case. I think Corbell locked them into some contracts and promised them a lot of things that he hasn't necessarily delivered on.
Right.
And, there's frustration there, but they're contractually obligated, which probably includes NDAs.
And that's when I brought up last night, if someone's going to sign a contract, you always have to have a lawyer look at it to understand specifically what you're signing away before you sign it. You may or even upload it to Grok or someone, ChatGPT, get an idea of all the clauses, what you are giving away to the person when you sign your name on that contract. It's like doing a deal with the devil sometimes.
So,
well, you took the words out of my mouth because I was just going to say that. Nowadays with AI, nobody needs a lawyer anymore. It's all right at their fingertips at their keyboard. They could run it through any contract through AI, and they can get an answer that they don't have to pay an attorney for. The problem that I see with that solution is AI is wrong. AI hallucinates. AI is not always accurate.
It does a lot. Yeah. And it hallucinates a lot more than it used to. Let's just say that.
That's right. So that problem is twofold, because if these people are depending on that for accuracy and whatever it is that they're doing or going out there, they're not getting the right answers, which causes more confusion and frustration.
Yeah, it does.
I'll just end, I'll just say, I think, if we're truly concerned about protecting whistleblowers, we need to start with somebody getting some direct answers from Corbell as to what the business arrangement is with them, what sort of agreements he has signed with them, what sort of representations. He wants the government to make everything public. I think he needs to make everything public to begin with.
Yeah. You bring up the same point that I bring up about Ryan Graves. Does he have any, I know he does a great job trying to bring up the needs about safety in airports and safety for pilots and such. I just have to ask the question, is there any conflicting, or is there any company who's, if you want to call it, backing what he's doing that would consider it a conflict of interest? It's just, for me, it seems like there's something going on more that the public's eye doesn't know.
Oh, no, you've also made other points, Thomas, about this very point itself that we're discussing right now. You've asked the question, in the 80 plus years that these objects have been in our skies, have they collided once with any commercial aircraft or any military jet that we're aware of? And the answer is no. There hasn't been.
Yeah.
Right?
No, there hasn't, until last night when some object at 8,000 feet, actually a plane collided with a white object. They saw it with a flash, and they had to go back for an emergency landing because it impacted the front of the plane. Now, they don't know exactly what it is, but it's definitely something hit the plane, but there have not been, and I've got an audio clip coming from the air traffic controllers about what's going on. But what I do have here, in a second I will, but what I've got going on here next is this is a video that came out, was recorded yesterday, I believe, in Jordan. And there's someone who's, running to try and go ahead and make sure I can see this whole thing, to go ahead and try and record this thing. Sorry, Chad, I have to hide you at this point to go ahead and show this clip. Someone's running to actually go ahead and catch up with the craft off in the distance. It's either just really good cinematography, it could be a fake video, but
it could be AI.
It could be AI. So there are some still frames of it to where, dang it. Come on, don't do that to me. Trying to get it to where we can go ahead and see it. There are some still frames. This is being described as one of those potential jellyfish type objects that have been coming around. Not the clearest picture, but it's just showing that people out there with cell phones, and you can see as it moves a little bit, there is a little bit of rotation. We are seeing some details go on out there, so it's just not like a 2D sprite that's moving around going towards the camera. There's maybe something more to this one. Seems to be in the right area, if you want to call it, for these kind of things going on. But I know this is something that our audience goes ahead and looks for and wants to see more details on. So that one, the description was, let's see. So this is in Al Zalil. It is it's a governorate of Jordan. It's in the northern city of Zarak, about 9 miles away. Yeah. So take it for what it's worth. It's a video that came out today, and the more sightings we get from different people that come out there, the better the more that disclosure can potentially move forward. Now, I do have a clip coming up next, coming from Representative Burleson, who was briefed on 30 UAP videos by RO on Thursday. So Luna said they saw all 46 of the videos, right, Mike?
Yes.
We covered that last night.
Right.
But now we've got Burleson in this audio clip. Let's go ahead and just play this right now. Hold on. Not that one. Let's take up a blurry picture of Burleson here just to make sure. Yeah, we'll be fine. We've played her stuff before. This is coming from the Mark Cox morning show. Let's go ahead and play this audio clip of, again, Burleson talking about, what he was briefed by 30 UFO videos on Thursday, 3 objects busting around a Russian submarine, talking about how it suddenly goes to Mach speed, etc. So let's bring this audio clip up, and we'll talk about it. Hold on a second. Here we go.
We had about an hour and a half briefing with Arrow where we saw about 30 UAP videos. Some of them are incredible.
Yeah.
One of them, and I'll describe the two of them.
I gotta wonder really quick. I think he's talking about the video, new videos coming from RO, not necessarily the 46 that were talked about before. So there's 30 more videos, Mike, coming from RO is what it sounds like. Here we go.
Incredible.
Yeah.
One of them, and I'll describe the two of them. One of them is of an object that is flying at a very aggressive speed. I don't know how fast, and then suddenly, just instantaneously, goes from whatever speed it's flying. And my guess is it's flying with the wind, probably 80 miles an hour in the atmosphere, and then suddenly just goes like Mach speed. I mean, just instantly takes off,
just gone.
And it was one of those moments where everyone in the room gasped. Even the staffers, who are like the most skeptical people in the room, just gasped when they saw that video. Because there's not a single aerial thing that can do something like that. They can pull that off. The other video was one of a submarine. I think it's a Russian sub that we're filming, and there are about 3 objects that are buzzing around this Russian sub. That the camera operator, who's supposed to be watching the Russian sub, suddenly starts realizing, I've got to be watching these objects.
So, yeah, we have USOs, you have UFOs. It seems to be a common concept these days, Mike.
Yeah, you're right, Thomas. It does. But again, we haven't seen those videos yet. And even if we did, it's not giving us direct evidence of anything that the public can sink their teeth into.
Right.
And that's been the issue for 80 years that we've been up against. And
it continues, my friend.
UAP. I know.
Well, coming in our next clip we have coming up, we have a crowdsourced website out there called Enigma Labs. Collects information about the sightings of UFOs, and they have compiled thousands of instances of anomalies that have been detected underwater. I think we recognize this guy, don't we, Mike?
Oh, yeah.
My mind is blanking right now on his name, but he's someone who's been around for, anyway, we'll remember his name. He was part of Enigma Labs for a while as one of the co-founders, but as time went on, he actually moved on and is no longer part of it. But it seems like he's still being brought on a subject matter expert basis to go ahead and, contribute to the community and help bring the normies, if you want to call them that, on board for disclosures. So let's see what he has to say from this clip coming from OAN News in the last day or so. Here we go.
Alejandro Rojas, UAP analyst, consultant for Enigma Labs. Thank you so much for taking the time. First, what is Enigma and how does it track? Does it track every claim out there and it puts it, or is there some sort of verification?
Yeah, so we are really a reporting and analysis and alert system for UAP. People can report those on our app or on our website. Yeah. And
Alejandro
we don't
Rojas.
take everything.
I just have to bring this up really quick, Mike. When Alejandro Rojas joined Enigma Labs, the entire community on Twitter, if you want to call it UFO Twitter, turned against him for the main reason that Enigma Labs' major funding was coming from Aro, who doesn't like to share anything.
Right. That's right. Yeah, I remember we talked about that when that was going on.
Yep. Exactly. As soon as I saw the name, it clicked. So here we go. Let's play some more.
Have AI and humans scrape these cases first. Really, we just don't want to get any personal information out there. That's what AI is looking for. And then we have a human look at it to make sure they're not hoaxes or mistakes or anything that isn't intended to be out there. But otherwise, anything that's reported gets out there.
So in other words, this is a real thing. USOs are a real thing, what you're seeing here. And if that is a real thing, why by the water?
That's the big question. And, you had mentioned reports of things going in and out of the water. That's commonly referred to as transmedium because they're flying inside of the water and the air. We don't really have technologies that can do that. And that's what makes this particular type of sighting even more interesting.
Well, I mean, the humans have explored, less than 5% of the ocean. They mapped 28% with sonar. What is down there? I don't know, a kraken, but I mean, it could be something like this. It does make me wonder, the recent release, correct me if I'm wrong, it's coinciding with some of these civilian accounts of these USOs?
Yeah, so there are a lot of similarities. For instance, a lot of the reports that we're seeing from the military, including with this recent drop, are orbs or lights or even metallic orbs flying around. That's mostly what's being reported in the public as well, including in the areas. So the Middle East had about 5 cases that were near water, really with Enigma. We're getting these reports actually from individuals in the Middle East, whereas the reports that we had recently from the government are reported from the military. But we've got 33 similar kind of reports in that region. And then in the Indo-Pacific area, where there is 1 report in this recent file drop, we've got 83 reports. So yeah, there is a correlation, a lot of similarities between what the military is seeing and what the civilians are reporting.
Are you seeing a pattern? They pop up at the same time. They do the same kind of things. They look the same.
The orbs are what's similar. The other characteristics that are similar, you had mentioned.
Yes, Abe, your hand is up.
Yeah, I just found it funny that the reporter said what's in there are Kraken, and I feel like in the future we're going to hear like there's some giant thing. And I got a funny story about something that happened in the Navy, and I don't want to give too much away right now, but I feel like he was leading on to something.
Gotcha. Interesting. And just so people understand, the big disc you see here is what News Nation is using to go ahead and basically amplify where the object is. The disc is not the object. That little dot that's there is the object they're trying to make present for people to see. There's been a lot of confusion that I've heard about people thinking, oh, wow, look at that giant flying saucer. No, it's not the flying saucer. It's that little dot there. That's actually what they're talking about. Let's continue.
Moving very fast. That's certainly extraordinary, especially underwater. The other one are the kind of right turns, the moving very quick and then being able to change direction very fast. One of these videos that was dropped just last week by the military demonstrates that. This is one near Greece that's gotten a lot of attention. And, you know, that's the sort of technology, again, we don't see mirrored with our own aircraft.
What else could it be? For the skeptics out there, says, you know, it could be anything. If it's not what we're, you know, on the extreme, right? You're talking some advanced military technology or extraterrestrials. What else could it possibly be what we're seeing here or what's being reported?
You know, that's the tough question is what these are. And it's a national security issue, of course, if they are foreign actors or if they're enemies or their technology out there that is beyond what we can do. But then the other question is the big question mark. If they're not ours, if they're not technology that's made by anybody around here, whose are they? And you had brought up, you know, that we haven't explored a lot of the ocean. So if there is some third party here that is very advanced and they're trying to stay hidden or kind of out of the way, the ocean would be a great place to do it.
That's what I was thinking of that too. What do we do with this? Is there any technology we can set up to better track it, monitor it, predict it in these specific areas?
Well, I think the first thing that we do, which has only been done recently, is that the military needs to take it seriously and they need to start collecting those reports. The other thing is we need transparency. We need to be able to figure out or have that information shared with us. No doubt they take this sort of thing seriously, but what are they doing with it? And then, you know, if it's something that isn't an enemy, what are the protocols to get that out to the public? What we've seen in these drops are kind of cases that have been just kind of dumped out there with very little information or very little analysis attached to them. Really, we need some serious analysis and we need to be able to, you know, get some answers.
Well, I'll tell you what, you and me, we're grabbing our snorkels, we're going in, we're going to figure it out together, okay?
There we go. Just want to point out to the audience, Mike, we've got actually we have 465 people watching the show right now live, with only 125 likes. If you're watching the show and enjoying the conversation we've been bringing forward, and we'll continue to for the next hour, we've got a great show going on. Do us a favor, give us a thumbs up. The more thumbs up we have, the more that YouTube goes ahead and shares with the community who's not subscribed to Disclosure Tonight. If you're watching, you haven't subscribed yet, we'd love to have you here as a regular on Disclosure Tonight. So Elizondo Rojas, Mike, while he's going out, or actually Abe, whoever in the back, Elizondo Rojas is bringing out information about what's going out there. He's coming across as a subject matter expert, but the general public and everybody doesn't know about Enigma's ties to Aro and what's really behind this thing. At least he's trying to help bring a description to those out there who just don't understand what's really going on in our skies.
Well, I also remember that Alejandro Rojas was anti-Lou. He doesn't like him and never had anything good to say about Lou Elizondo, who is an actual whistleblower and did testify.
Oh, Pavel's the same way, so there's two people cut from the same cloth.
Yeah, but debunkers like that, they don't have a lot of credibility as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
And that's one of the other issues. He wanted to know, what can we do about this? Very simple answer. Have the president write an executive order declassifying everything the government has been keeping quiet on about this
and
subject.
Get Congress to go ahead and codify it and turn it into law.
Right. So I think it's pretty straightforward.
We don't have to wait for the national NDAA yearly piece, and we don't have to wait for them to try and get the UAP Disclosure Act to pass and it fails again. Work with the president, get an executive order, codify it, and we can bypass the entire National Defense Authorization Act and National Intelligence Authorization Act budget approvals that happen at the end of every year.
Yeah, that's the best way I can see to cut through all the bullshit once and for all. But are they going to do that? Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens.
Or they need to tell us why he won't do it. On that note, Daryl, your hand is up.
Yeah, I was just wondering if Abe's gonna tell us his story, or if this is a back chat kind of a scenario.
Ooh.
Put me on Front Street. All right, let's do it in the back chat, and let's save it for another episode after some more videos or disclosure comes out, because I don't want to step on anybody's toes.
Sounds good, my friend. Appreciate it. Well, Mike, we were talking about other things that are going on, other grifters who are out there going, pushing stuff forward. Not only do we have the Boogosphere, as we talked about earlier this week, we also have the Boldeosphere. Would you look at that? We got two of a kind, but the Sanskrit writing is missing. Different kind of stuff humans have not added to yet, because you have to remember, when the Boogosphere first came out, Mike, it didn't have this on the top. It didn't have any of these designs on it. It was just a pretty plain ball. So this time, at least when they're bringing it out, they've already had a chance to go ahead and decorate it so it doesn't go ahead and change over time.
Right. They had to bring it to the machine shop to finish the artwork on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only thing missing with this scenario is Avi Loeb's metal balls that he found out in the ocean.
Well, these are the giant version of it.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd love to hear Gene thoughts on this. Gene, are you along with us here saying bullshit?
Yeah, of course. I mean, how many... they're just in the location where these things fall out of the sky. This whole collection of them. It's just ridiculousness. That's all.
Yeah, it continues, but it's a subject of interest from a lot of people. So sometimes we just have to go ahead and bring up what's going on just to make sure everyone's aware of, keep your eyes out for this, folks, because it's currently what's happening. Now, I do have a clip from our dear friend, Lou Elizondo. Yeah, sorry, he's actually canceled his East Coast tour. I'm sure you would have gone to see him in Boston, but I guess he's going to be doing that later in the year. So we've got Lou going ahead and talking now on a podcast where he's talking about, as disclosure, it's going to happen, whether he like it or not, we like it or not. And it sounds like he's getting into the ploy of talking about, your family, your friends, your loved ones, to bring them around you, pay attention to them, because it could be a shocker. So let's get to see what Lou Elizondo is going to go ahead and say on this one. Let me find this and get to it. Here we go, folks.
Children. You sit down. Let me give you my word of advice, Lou's advice on how we should deal with this topic. I think we should love our families. I think we need to spend more time with our children. You sit down with your buddy at work and they can tell you who the favorite quarterback is of their team and what their record is, and yet they can't tell you who little Johnny or Jane sits next to in second period math class, right? Or lunch. Love one another. This is going to happen whether we like it or not, and I believe that things happen to the benefit of mankind for the most part. I believe that God has a direct hand in us. And so maybe if we want to understand what's out there a little more, first we need to understand what's in our own hearts a little more. Maybe we need to focus on each other and try to be more kind to one another, try to be more patient, try to give grace to individuals who have harmed us. Take time to tell your children you love them. Take time to tell your spouse you respect them and you love them. That's my word of advice. I know it's probably to a lot of people out there saying, well, one doesn't have to do with the other. Yes, it does. Absolutely, it does. It starts in here. Before you can ever start finding out the answers out there, you need to stop and look in the mirror, and you first need to ask the same questions about yourself.
Yeah, Lou brings up some good points, Gene. You know, take care of your family and all the different people around you as this stuff comes on. What are your thoughts on this one?
I mean, I think that's just wonderful, universal advice. You know, of step back a little bit from
let me give you
to get more of a family schedule and not be as engrossed in this community as much as I was to a degree. Not that it was a distraction, but again, you just kind of realize, all right, I gotta balance this out. But overall, for the talk we hear from Burleson, Burchett, the politicians have all said it, the personalities have all said it when they allude to everything that they've seen and they've known. And to be honest with you, I look at them as people and I'm like, you know what? They've dealt with it, whatever it is, I'm going to be okay. If they've handled it, I'm going to be fine. If they've been able to process it, just about anybody's going to be able to process it. These, we hold people at these mythical levels sometimes because of the jobs they have and the things that they have access to, that they're somehow different. But you can look at any of them and when they're like, I know the secrets and oh my God, it's just we'll be fine.
Yeah, it is. And it just comes down to, do you think the slow approach, the slow rollout of information coming out of the executive branch at this point is kind of a good approach to bring the stuff along versus just dumping it all at once?
I think it would be if it was done, if generally the people who have the ear of the public were more responsible, and they're just not. They're just dramatizing things, I think unnecessarily. I think we all suspect different degrees of collusion and filtering and messengers and all the rest of it. But I think they're just I think that's what makes it worse, rather than just the idea of a slow, methodical, step-by-step rollout. Each one builds upon the other.
Yeah.
Each one leads to questions that the public should naturally have. All the drama behind a lot of it I think is just out of control.
Yeah. One of the things we go ahead and look at is they're just dumping the videos, dumping some of the reports out there, and they basically give it to the people of the world. Take it for what you believe or what you think to a degree. But there's been analysts looking at this stuff going on for over 80 years, and there's a good idea of what these things aren't and potentially what they are, but they're not releasing everything. And I think that's the biggest damage that they're doing by not giving us that analysis. Now they call that work product or whatever. We can't bring that out because of national security. If they're bringing out the videos, and this is happening worldwide, that means everybody and all the governments know about it. The only people they're really keeping from the truth is like us.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think so. You know, we on the one hand we can hold out hope that the analytical products will come later or come at the end of whatever all this is. I think, you know, I've been reading David Grush and a lot of his appearances recently as an audition, sort of a public audition for a role. And he might be being looked at as the most neutral of voices that could be put before the general public, and the UAP community is already familiar with him, you know, and he might be that bridge figure who has some sort of official relationship to the government or the administration in particular, to be the voice of how people should be interpreting these drops as they're made and as they build more and more. I mean, that's, again, it's certainly needed. You know, I'm trying to do it for whoever follows, you know, the things I produce. You know, I did it with this first drop, you know, really what it is, what it means, and what to take from it, which is basically it's some historical context.
Yeah, but Grush already has a deal with Jerry Bruckheimer at this point, and he's helping him produce the movie. You know, we've got Steven Spielberg for the feel-good, maybe frightening thing kind of going on in June this year. But we got Bruckheimer's piece that's, if you want to call it, David Grush is in the credits and is being a producer in the overall video. I think that could be the one that could really blow this thing open for what it is to the general public.
Could be. I mean, you know, again, it's just the way in which it's gonna, you know, it rolls out and how, you know, how it's digested. You know, we got some attention in the mainstream media on this drop, but still, I don't think there was really anything from the mainstream media side that rattled anybody significantly. So we'll just have to continue to see with what's put out there and the quality and what is definitive and what is not.
Yeah. Seems like a really good approach, and can't wait to see where all this is going to go. You know, there's been a mix-up of communication. People are saying we're going to get dumps weekly. It's going to come every other week. Now we've got another thing saying the next dump is going to come in a couple weeks. It seems like this whole process is really disorganized for the general public to know what to expect, when to expect it going forward. Because Elizondo was said there are tens of millions of documents to be released in a document. It's like a document on your hard drive. A document could be a PDF. It could be a picture. It could be a 10, 24-minute video. So there's tens of millions of documents that they need to bring out with no clear way of how to get there.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm just reading that question there. Interested how human thought patterns work.
All right. Yeah, let me bring that up. Go ahead. So Andy in the back was saying, I'm really interested in how human thought patterns work. Gene, with his intelligent, measured thoughts, me with my barely functioning brain that barely struggles to think through questions.
Yeah, I mean, you know, again, I wouldn't be, you know, so self-deprecating there, and you know, I mean, you get a brilliant mind in your own right by any means. You know, I've been conditioned through years of traumatic exposure. You know, I mean, this has been my job for 30 years, right? Be comfortable with ambiguity and try and filter through it the best way you can to hand information back to decision makers that allows them to make better informed decisions, right?
God, it sounds like my job on Friday.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in on that. Obviously, you know, I've worked close to 38 years in a throwaway job. Basically, every piece of intelligence I have, every bit of my job I do is a throwaway bit. You know, I sort parcels for a living. I work in a parcel sorting. So I'm intelligent in my own way with that, but everything that I need to know is a throwaway. I gain no learning, no intelligence from anything that I do. You know, every address on a parcel I read, my brain has conditioned itself over the years to actually, once that information's gone out of my hands, to forget it because it's useless information. And I found now, I've got a friend who actually closely followed what Rick Doty, and I know a lot of people don't like Rick Doty, but what he did, I've got a work colleague that I work with who was in military intelligence in the British Army. And then he actually joined in the company where I work. And he spoke to me recently. He said, you know what, since I've come in here, I've actually found myself becoming more unintelligent because I don't need to remember things, you know. And yeah, people may think I'm a complete idiot. And yeah, but sometimes you need to remember how people are conditioned. Like you said there, Gene, you know, you have a way that I consider. How can you come up with these reasonings? Because you've been conditioned, as you said, in your work and everything, to actually ask questions. You know, there's so many people that could input stuff, but maybe because of their position in life or the job they do, doesn't afford them the ability to input questions. So yeah, it was just something that crossed my meager mind.
Yeah, but it's never too late to learn and figure it out. You know, I mean, you have a lot of life experience, right? We all do. Everybody has life experience. Everybody knows the things that within your circles and the circles that you've been exposed to fit and don't fit. And then it's just a matter of, you know, acting with intention to discern between what fits and what doesn't, what makes sense, what doesn't make sense. You know, and you know, you can see it in any areas that you've worked. What doesn't fit jumps out at you right away. And, you know, for me in this space, again, the world I came out of, big oil, intelligence, I come in here, start, you know, surveying the landscape, and I'm like, same thing, big industrial complex, intelligence, you know, and things fit and other things don't fit. And that's why I just try to break down, you know, whatever forum I'm on or, you know, asked, and just trying to help help people who really want to discern, to consider things with intent as they're looking at it, and know that nothing from the public space, nothing in politics, nothing on the news, and no headline is truthful.
Right. And I think, Gene, really quick, I almost interrupt you for a second. I think you're not in this for the grift. You're not in this for the money. We all have that. I do. You do. The thing comes down to it. We're in this for the truth and helping those in the community and the public out there understand what's going on around us.
Yeah. I mean, and, you know, I guess, and I get impassioned about it because it's, you know, it's one of those things that this is supposed to be this, you know, search for transparency and truth and, to a degree, justice, right? For whether it's whistleblowers or all the people who have kind of suffered through the years, and there's all of these things going on, but there's so many people that, again, to me, it's obvious, are not in it for those reasons, and they are monetizing that to their advantage. And, you know, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that, you know, nobody should be able to, you know, make a career based on the work that they're doing, but it's the work that some people are doing itself that is inherently unhelpful to this larger cause.
Right. I couldn't agree more. You know, that's where we have to go and help everybody understand what's going on and bringing this stuff forward. It's definitely a community effort, to say the absolute least. And I really appreciate, I want to say I really appreciate you stopping into Disclosure tonight to go ahead and help communicate this to the audience.
Well, I appreciate that you're here for me to do it. You get in? That's
yeah, absolutely.
can I just add on as well, Thomas? You know,
Go ahead, sir.
And yeah, I'm English, so we self-depreciate ourselves. You know, as a rule, it's a thing. But I want to say to everybody in chat, you know, just because you're not, you know, the highest IQ person or, you know, whatever, the sharpest tool in the box, actually sometimes it can take, dare I say, and I'm not saying myself or anything, but it can take an idiot to actually see the most mundane thing that actually could break the whole thing apart.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes the most intelligent people are actually overthinking way too much. And I know this through life experience, you know. So, yeah, just, you know, because you aren't, you know, the most educated or anything, you know, we've all got our part to play in this story.
Right.
Every single one of us. So, yeah, that's the end of the day what it comes down to in here, I think.
Yeah. Thank you, Andy. I appreciate that. Great conversation from everybody on this. And our next clip.
Even you, Andy, they wrote a book and had your account in it of when you saw the craft, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and
so,
I will say that's only anecdotal again because I never had any, you know, recording equipment or anything. But yeah,
right.
my account of the triangle I saw is in a book. So yeah, we've all got our, whether it's recorded on film or whatever, or it's anecdotal, you know, by the fact that it was, you know, time before mobile phones were invented and were mainstream or whatever. You know, everybody's story, I think, whether it's recorded on, you know, or anything, everybody's story has a part to play in this story. You know,
we all contribute.
We hear these things from you know the you know the 30s and the 40s. You know, the guys out flying the fighter planes in World War II who saw the Foo Fighters. You know, they weren't able to record things. They were trying to stay alive for the next mission. You know, they were trying to see it to the end of the war. You know, they didn't have the chance to film these things. You know, everybody's story has a place in this whatever the hell it is. And I do believe we will come to the eventuality that we will come to an understanding, good, bad, or whatever, you know. So, yeah, just because your stories in your own, you know, in words, not in documented, other than, you know, what you have to say, again, you know, it's all part of the you know, the world of what we're in this. You know, in this forum, in this subject.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, hopefully the president will write an executive order and finally declassify all of this so we can then dig into it and get to the truth. That's the goal.
Yeah, that's what we need, Mike.
Yeah,
an executive memo was not going to cut it. You know, we need an executive order that's not only written and set into law from the president's standpoint. We need the House of Representatives and the Senate to codify this and turn it into formal law for the government of the United States of America going forward.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
right.
Right.
It's a harsh memo, Skywatch, but come on. We need more than a harsh memo. We need a freaking executive order, and then we need Congress to make it. And yeah, let's make it harsh. Let's make stiff penalties, right?
Right. And we need more people like Gene who are out there and cutting through the bullshit like you and I do.
Yeah.
And trying to set the public straight as far as what they should pay attention to and what they shouldn't.
Yeah.
So we appreciate his efforts and helping us with those efforts as well.
Yeah.
So we can try to get to the truth. Yeah. That's what it's all about. Right, Thomas?
Oh, it's about that every day. Unless you live in the United Kingdom, because what's going on right now, there is, well, this is earlier today, there are, looks like millions of Brits marching towards Parliament Square.
Quite a definite decision.
And the media
got to step in
doesn't know how to deal with this.
To take that person out of the crowd. But 11 arrests so far. Huge crowds already, as we can see, going right the way
They're
back
concerned
along.
about how are the police going to come in and actually arrest people if there's skirmishes and things going on, because there's multiple things going on at the same time.
You have the audio from the video playing while you're talking.
Sorry,
right
yeah, I know. Here we go. Sorry, let's just play this.
Yeah, so they're going to drag Starmer out, kicking and screaming.
No, they're not going to pull out Starmer kicking and screaming, but what's going on? Maybe more people have resigned today as it's going on and people are urging him, but the only way they're going to get him out of there is literally, like you just said, to pull him out kicking and screaming. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because we have a lot of people from the United Kingdom watching the show today. We stand with the people of the United Kingdom in this, going against this fascist leader of the United Kingdom who has basically been practicing along with in cohorts with those in Europe, a replacement strategy for the existing population in the United Kingdom. It's disgusting to say the least. We had problems.
Deserting a sinking ship with his ministers in parliament.
Yeah.
They're running for the hills.
Yeah. If this was any other prime minister, I would think they would have resigned already, but they haven't.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they would have been gone.
Yeah.
I butted in there. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Darryl.
I just wanted to say that Nick Shirley from the United States spoke at that event today, which is interesting.
They actually let him in. They didn't keep him out, huh? Interesting.
Well, they were trying. Starmer was trying.
Yeah. Just for people, if you're up outside of the United Kingdom, haven't been paying attention, Starmer actually put a bunch of holds on people who want to come to the United Kingdom to be a part of this particular protest to go ahead and speak, and they were stopping them from coming in from flying. But, Daryl, maybe they should have just taken a boat, and they would have gotten in anyway.
I guess.
They would have been welcome, given a place to live and money. How about that? And a cell phone.
The cliffs of Dover.
They could have come into France and taken the tunnel right into England.
Well, they could have. No, they could have taken a boat across and gotten in. If they took the train, they would have been stopped.
Oh, Andy has his hand up.
Go ahead, Andy.
Yeah, I will actually say I was watching a podcast earlier, and it was a Canadian. I think he ran a news podcast or something, and he was actually stopped from coming in, and they did bring up the fact that if he'd come across on a boat, he would have probably got a nice house and everything. But I the last I heard, I've sort of been roughly following what was happening in the UK. I think the last I heard earlier on was there were 11 people arrested, but they didn't because there were two protests going on at the same time. There was the Stand Up for Britain or whatever it was called, and there was the We Love Palestine group on the other side. But they didn't actually stipulate which side of which one of the marches was actually the arrests were taken.
Right.
And actually, I will say I was watching another podcast earlier on, and it was a Nigerian gentleman who'd gone to the Patriot March, and actually it was actually really quite disgusting how they treated him. They actually apologized when they walked in front of him when he was filming and talking to people.
Thank you, Jay.
So
Yeah, interesting to say the least. If we go ahead and just, if there's more stuff that popped up, this is just something that was in my feed I wanted to go ahead and cover and talk about today, because we do have a lot of people from the United Kingdom who watch this show, and it's the reason, actually people in the UK is the reason we go ahead and turn back our time from 6 p.m. Pacific to 2 p.m. so they get a disclosure tonight, literally at 10 p.m. UK time. Manuel, your hand is up. You're still muted.
Button is on, Manuel.
Here we go. He got it.
I was going to say Ezra Levin. He's the news reporter, Canadian news reporter from Rebel News. He got kicked out of UK, and he's suing the Prime Minister.
Good. He should. And they say they support free speech, but clearly free speech is not what they support. On that note, let's go on to our next clip here. We've got something coming from Jem Semivan, coming from Interstellar over on X, senior retired CIA officer with 25 years in the clandestine service. Aliens could be extraterrestrial, interdimensional, ultra-terrestrial, or all three. I vote for all three, my friends. Actually, I vote for ultra-dimensional and extraterrestrial, meaning the ancient terrestrial. They've been here for the longest time, longer than humans. We don't necessarily know how they got here, but they've been with us for a long period of time. Interdimensional could be battling with the ancient terrestrial. So let's go ahead and play this clip from Jim Semivan, who's a former CIA agent. This clip is coming to us from, like it says, from Interstellar UAP. Gene, go ahead first. Do you have something to say?
Nope. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no problem. Here we go.
I just wanted to add that Jim Semivan and his wife are also experiences, not just the CIA operative. He also had firsthand knowledge. Just a quick point.
So they're not only a customer, they're also the founders.
Yeah, good point.
Now the Hair Club, remember the commercials for that?
Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
So something else exists out there with us, and they're able to come to this planet or able to show themselves on our planet, or they live on this planet. This is the ultra-terrestrial theory, which the three main theories are extraterrestrial, interdimensional, and ultra-terrestrial. All three may be true at the same time. We don't know, but and again, we don't know. And we don't know because one of the main, here I go off on another tangent, but we don't know because the NHI, whatever this intelligence is that's showing up, it's not introducing itself. It's knocking on your door and running away. I mean, it's knocking on your door and leaving something. It shows itself as a tic tac. It shows itself as a cylinder, as a flying saucer, as a disc. You name it. It's probably 50 or 60 different variations on the theme. It comes in 6 or 7 different NHI varieties, from Nordics to grays to kobolds. I mean, there's like a lot of them. And are they shape-shifting? Are they just one species? Are they really 6 species? Are there more species? Are they reptilians, manuses? Nobody knows. Nobody knows because it hasn't.
Hold on a second. I have to go back and I have to push back on this one, Mike. I think the government knows potentially which types of craft are being introduced into our reality, right? Which ones are coming from the ocean? Which ones are coming from the moon? Which ones are just appearing out of nowhere and disappearing into nowhere, right?
They do. We've been tracking them. We have sensor logs. The U.S. government is in possession of craft that has been recovered, including the 3.5 foot tall gray bodies that have been recovered as well. So we know that the government has all that. So they know that much. As far as anything beyond that, not anything that we've heard.
No.
Right.
Not at all. All right, let's continue.
Not yet.
Yeah. But that's just it. If you want to call it, I would probably call the CIA one of the orchestrators in the crash retrieval, or even orchestrating them being shot down, getting the craft, bringing it down, and then pushing it out for reverse engineering where possible, if we can figure it out. And here's the thing. We can't figure out everything, but I have to say, we've probably figured out some small things along the way.
Well, more, I believe they figured out than they've released to the public so far, and that's what we need to find out.
Yep. Absolutely.
It'll help move things forward if we get more information.
If we can get more information, like some more information on national security, move forward, folks.
Introduced itself. If for whatever reason, it might even be controlling disclosure. It might be the one that's preventing disclosure from happening, or has prevented disclosure from happening. We don't know. We just don't know. It's one big question mark. I like to quote Whitley Strieber on this. He said, it's like we're walking through a forest of hypotheses. And that's exactly where we are today.
Yeah, makes sense. Absolutely. In our next clip we're getting to, Mike, we heard some great stuff from Jim Semivan. We've got a little bit more coming from Jeremy Corbell, saying that he and Jordan Knapp gave Congress 13 UFO videos from the Air Force that will be shocking if released. We gave them the 13 Air Force videos that will be shocking. Let's go ahead and see what Jeremy says about this in this little 23-second clip. If he's giving it to them and he's not bound by national security, Mike, this is something he should be giving to us.
Right. And Gene has had really interesting points about Knapp and Corbell, and how investigative journalists that they claim to be withhold this information from the public for sometime years
Yeah.
before we hear anything about it. That's not something that makes a lot of sense in the grand
Yeah,
scheme
but
of
it
things.
seems like their version of disclosure is more tied to a media plan, right? Than
Or
it is
controlled.
controlled to a controlled media plan than it is necessarily towards bringing the truth out. Because if you're truly an investigative a reporter and you get this breaking news that could freaking wow people, Gene, why would you sit on this for so long and not bring out the freaking truth unless you're just in it for getting the truth but monetizing it?
Well, that's it. You want to be, they want to create their own legacy, right? If that's what they have, if they're not interested in making anything available to the public, they themselves are, trying to. They're almost replacing what it is that the government's doing. They're acting the exact same way.
So we've got a second layer of disclosure. The first layer of disclosure is coming from the government, but then we have these other people who are gathering the information from people who don't agree with the government stuff, and now we have a second layer of gatekeepers.
Right. And they're going to tell the story the way and through, their media. And they're going to hold the exclusives. And that's what I think he's doing with the whistleblowers too, right? That's why he's locking them down into contracts probably so that, it's all for the greater good of Jeremy Corbell and his media ambitions, as opposed to truly getting answers.
Yeah.
If he had that much information for that long, all of these, what do you say, 20 years of videos that he has. So, make them available that everybody can research it and help out and solve, put the pieces together.
But don't we see the same kind of thing coming out of Ross Coulthart, who talks about these things that he's shown, things that he's seen, stuff that's been shared with him, and he talks about it, making the story about himself, not necessarily about the story about the stuff that he's learned, and making this breaking news story, bringing it out to the public to tell them the information and show them specifically what he's been disclosed.
The heroes of disclosure.
I do got to say, I got to make a point about that with Ross Coulthart. I agree with Gene. When Ross did the interview with David Grush 3 years ago, and that was breaking news at the time, after he did that interview with Bryce Zabel, and he put it out there, he didn't make it a pay-per-view event. You didn't have to pay to get to see that interview. Yeah. Right, Gene?
Exactly. I mean, he's, I think again, they're all competing in the same space, right? And there's unfortunately formulas that work, right? 99% of the fault is with the public, is with the audience.
But he did get paid for that.
He did get paid for that. What's that?
He got paid by News Nation.
Well, that's his job. I mean,
right. What I'm saying is, it's not like it's totally altruistic. He got paid,
right? But he didn't charge the public for it,
right?
He didn't, create his own news special for it, and and all the rest. So there's again whatever the expectation that maybe this is part of the gap. There's just this change in what media is, and media used to be paid for strictly through advertisers and the rest of it, and now it's a really grabbing market share, and who's going to give $5 for subscriptions or for membership to see the videos first or to see exclusives and all the rest of it. But that's what I'm saying, it's the public's fault. We've incentivized it, right? Because we continue to pay for it, and we can, and that's what they don't, there's ultimately a point they don't care whether you're buying the video or paying for access to the video because you love them or you paying for access to it because you want to find what you can tear them apart about, they're still getting you $20 either way. So
right, but
care?
even if I can bring this point in, Ross Colhar, who's part of News Nation, and he's a commentator or a reporter on News Nation for what's going on, by taking his reality check and all the pieces that he's doing and putting it specifically on YouTube, it prevents anyone out there from using any of the things that are said on his reality check from sharing them on shows like this or anywhere else, because anything that comes out on cable news is fair use. Anything that's specifically put on YouTube, they will hit you with a copyright strike on it, and that's something that News Nation does. I've learned. That's why we don't play clips from Reality Check. I love to, but if we do that, they'll try and shut down our channel.
Yeah, but when Ross was having the Need to Know podcast with Bryce Zabel, all of those episodes he gave Thomas and I permission to play. But he's not doing that anymore, so now we're stuck.
Yeah.
The issue with News Nation.
It's owned by News Nation. It's their content. It's not his.
Right.
Content.
Right. That's exactly right, Darryl.
Exactly. So there isn't a particular, if you want to call a paywall to get to his stuff, but if you want to see it, you have to go to that channel and that channel only.
But that being said, I'm still going to play devil's advocate here. Unlike Knapp and Corbell, he's not making a pay-per-view event like Sleeping Dogs, where you're only going to see those videos and get access to that content if you pay for it. Ross didn't do that. So say what you will about him, but he's not taking the same approach that other people out here who claim to be.
Well, he actually did where Jeremy actually went and did a movie. And or a presentation that he's selling on media. And that's his particular prerogative. Jeremy doesn't have a deal, doesn't have a weekly paycheck or bi-weekly paycheck coming in from News Nation. He's on his own. When he's not doing UFOs, like David Grush, he's selling real estate.
That's right.
Yeah.
He is. Yeah, he has a day job.
Nothing wrong with that. I've got a day job.
I know.
Yeah.
So if you're in this, then you're either retired like me and Gene are, or you're getting a paycheck from elsewhere. That's what these people fail to understand.
Yeah. Nick has got a video he wants us to play. That's why he's raising his hand. He put it in the back chat. Nick, what say you, my friend?
I think that's pretty interesting. And I just found out, Thomas, that actually has their own AI, which they can search things, which I didn't even know that even existed. The government has its own AI.
Well, think about this way. If we're talking about AI, think about this. The government is taking all their data, putting it into their own private learning, an LLM learning language model that they can go ahead and actually ask questions of and figure things out. But apparently, what you're saying here, Kyle Knops and visualization of a TR-3B alien reproduction vehicle, part 1, using the U.S. military's own Gemini AI, which I guess Gemini AI has a link to it. So let's watch this clip. Oh, God, this guy again. Let's watch this and see where this guy takes it.
So, how do you? I've seen some of your imagery where you've got. I think one of your videos is like a 10-minute video that you've got on. I think if you put it on Facebook or on YouTube, I think
everywhere basically.
I saw like an image, and it looked like it was sort of an AI generated image that you'd created to kind of explain the design stuff and what's inside of the craft.
Yeah.
So, are you able to just kind of give me a bit of a summary of how you sort of believe it works? And
so I'm not making up any of this, and I'm not even trying to claim that I know any of this, to be honest. I'm literally, so like I said before, the government AI. Hopefully they don't come back and bite me in the butt for this, but this is how I'm getting my information. I'm using the government's own military Gemini Enterprise Plus. I guess it's not Plus anymore. It says Standard, but it's a more fancier version. And I've just been asking it things. And because it doesn't like delete its memory, essentially, it can hold on to all this stuff. So I was just collecting questions that I've been asking and putting it into essentially a book. And now that it knows that, it's almost like it has a Bible of memory. And then I ask it something, and everything it's looking up is patents. So it's real patented things. So it will, now I'm putting essentially all the puzzle pieces back together, and I'm not knowing any of what the hell it's even talking about. But it will spit out like, how does the barandite, whatever the heck, some random element connect to this thing? I'm like, I don't even know. Click the button. And it spits out some huge, in-depth, crazy breakdown that is true. And then I'll save that, put it into another thing, and it's just putting it all together. And then I literally just give AI the information, and it makes the video that you saw. So I have no idea what it's going to make. And it is all 100% patented stuff, and it's just AI connecting the dots. I'm like, what the hell? But it makes sense. And everything that I've gotten, I'm like, why is this the most logical, most, like, actually everything makes sense? And it's gross, and it's disturbing.
Yeah, it kind of gets into the point that AI goes ahead and brings out the information, whether we like it or not, and it will help us get to the conclusion that we're looking for. On this next clip we've got coming forward, we've got, it's a warning shot. It's the definition of the deep state. We got Representative, go ahead, Nick.
Do you think the TR-3B is real? Do you think?
I believe, based on what we've heard from Dylan Borland, yes, there are triangular craft that have been seen over bases. We also have coming from Lou Elizondo, and in the past coming from Lou Elizondo and Christopher Mellon, that there was a scene that happened off the eastern coast of the United States where there was an aircraft carrier. Right next to the aircraft carrier, there was a huge triangular craft that surfaced out of the ocean next to the aircraft carrier that was there. It was the size of a U.S. football field that was, width, length, shortened down, that was there, that then shot up into the sky. And everyone has said they see no reason why that video can't come out. Now, do I believe the Stephen Greer's story that the TR-3B is from alien ARVs, alien reverse engineering? No, I don't believe a word of that.
No, I don't believe it either.
No, there was a diamond-shaped craft that was down in or like an 8-sided sphere kind of craft that came down in Texas back a long time ago. That one sounded like we had actually gone ahead and taken an alien vehicle. The energy system within it was shot and didn't function. But they went and they put a dirty nuclear reactor in it and got that thing flying over, and it ended up giving radiation doses to a couple citizens of the United States who ended up dying from that exposure. Zombie, your hands up. You're muted. You got to unmute yourself. Hit the space bar. You're on your computer. We can't hear you. You're muted. Got undo the microphone.
There we go. Sorry.
There we go.
Yeah, just talking about triangle craft. Has anyone heard about the Penturk incident in South Wales?
Yes, there have been multiple sightings in the United Kingdom, and also the person who was the founder of UFO Believers over on Reddit, and he saw one over in Amsterdam. So this is a common sighting over in the UK, in Europe. Absolutely, my friend.
Well, I also think that the Penturk one, just outside Lantrison, with the amount of evidence and the amount of people that saw the incident and experienced, and it was going on for over a week with military over this little town, tiny little place in South Wales. And there's so much evidence for it. It's unreal, really. And it seemed, I think, hearing the stories, it's more significant than Rendlesham.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. There's a lot of sightings that have gone on, a lot of things, but the problem is, Zombie, is we're looking at things through a lens that's been tainted by the deep state, that's been tainted by the organizations out there to keep this truth from coming forward.
Oh, yeah, I agree. Totally. Yeah.
All right. In this next clip, we've got over on OAN, we've got Matt Gaetz. Oh, he's got such a stellar record, Mike. Going ahead and talking with Tim Burchett about UFO or non-human biologics found in UFO wreckage. Absolutely. Let's get to it. Here we go.
Let's start with these missing scientists. We heard some time ago Chairman Comer say that the Oversight Committee would be investigating these disappearances. What can you tell us about where that investigation has gone and what you've learned?
Well, I haven't learned a whole lot, Matt, other than these folks just keep disappearing. And they have, there's a combination of things that they share. One of them is propulsion. Their scientists or their oversee areas where of our high-tech propulsion and metallurgy. So it all fits in to a lot of things. I still think it's a warning shot to somebody is telling people. So, and that's why I think you're seeing people clam up right now. I mean, and clearly with the UFO investigation, I mean, the White House is getting stonewalled by some of our alphabet agencies. And
hold on. Where the hell did that go?
But now it goes to the highest
Wait a
level.
second. The video ended. Okay, so it just ended at that point and went to that. Never mind.
The UFO investigation, I mean, the White House is getting stonewalled by some of our alphabet agencies, and you saw it when you were in Congress, but now it goes to the highest level. It's unbelievable. It is the definition of the deep state.
Okay, we're talking about the definition of the deep state. Let me get across to X on a different window. Let me go ahead and get across to my messages, and I want to search for the word from messages. Here we go. So there was someone who actually was a whistleblower by the name of David Childress, who was from the Department of Energy. Let me get this in here. And he had shown up on the Unidentified Celebrity Review. And based on what he was saying, what was going on, saying he was in the DOE, as soon as I heard from he was a DOE and talking about UFOs, my ears instantly, like our current head of NASA, opened up. And I was like, holy shit, this guy is from the point of where the UFO investigation is coming from. I've been seeing with my abilities to go ahead and understand the real cover-up is coming from the DOE. That's where all the stuff's going on, but it's all maintained by the executive branch, the President of the United States. So I reached out to Kevin after I saw him on UCR, and I reached out to him, see what was going on. Long story short, I'll bring up the messages. He vanished. He scrubbed. He stopped replying. But the truth is, he was found at home, dead. His wife was a medical professional. There's no reason he would have been dead from a heart attack. But this was right before he was going to go ahead. Nick, if you got that link from Nancy Grace again, please send it across. I lost it. Where he was actually, he died. Lou Elizondo's talked about this. He was getting ready to come in and testify with the Senate and the House with regards to the knowledge he had of what was going on. So I reached out to him on July 7th, 2021. No, I believed he died in August 31st, 2021 is when they found him dead. Yes, my friend, thank you, National Security. So all I have left at this point, when I went and searched for it, his account has been scrubbed completely from X. All we have on this is as of June 11th, 2022, a member was removed from this conversation. That's about almost a year after he died, because they found him dead on August 31st, 2021. Here we go. I'm talking to him on July 7th, 2021, flat out. What did I say? Now, what's missing at the top of this is who's in the conversation. It was both me and David Childress, but that's gone because somebody requested all of his information to be scrubbed from X, and X did that on July 11th, 2022, or June 11th, 2022, like 10 months after he died. Who did that? Why did they do that? I mean, when I was looking at his Twitter account back at that time, he didn't say shit. There was nothing out there that actually went and would have been necessary to go ahead and delete. So here's what I said to Kevin on July 7th, 2021. Hey, Kevin, I host a live stream on my YouTube channel with Rob Heatherly, where we discuss the current scientific and historical views of the UFO phenomenon, which we still do today. I'm checking to see if you would be interested in discussing what you can about your past at the DOE, Department of Energy, without violating NDAs, because I know back at that time that locks people up. Again, this is back on June 8th, 2021. July 7th, 2021. NDAs, as well as your current view of the current state of disclosure and where we're headed. What do you think? His reply and his account was deleted again on June 11th, 2022. So all those responses, because it's private data from this individual, you can go at X right now and delete and put in a request to delete all of your data, and that would include everything in messages. I don't see his family doing this, honestly. At least that's my perspective. Let's get into it. What do you think? I got out of X, I got one of those things called a fire, that someone can go ahead and take a message you put out there, put an emote on it, and that emote is either a smiley face, a frown face, or a fire. He gave me a reply. And I said, cool. We have two shows. Back at the time, we had Saturday at 3 p.m. Pacific, which I moved back to 2 p.m. to make it 10 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. London time, and that's why we got the show. And we had another show at Tuesdays at 7 p.m. in Pacific. What works best for you? He gave me a reply, but that reply, because it's personal data, was deleted. And I said, yes, of course. I've read your feedback in the UCR chat room and on the stream in the past. I still remember one of your initial statements was that David Childress from Ancient Aliens would give. So it was kind of, he was saying things of, kind of like what David Childress, I think everyone should remember David Childress out there. Let's see if I can get a picture of that schmuck. Okay, we got him. At a time. So David Childress, if you remember, if anyone's watched Ancient Aliens, which I would think majority of the people, he would always come up with a odd pronunciation of a word that nobody else has. And instead of calling it a bowl, he would call it a bowel. And every time he would mention the bowel, he'd be talking about a bowl, but he went through it. So, to go to the places you have been, I think I was the only one who picked up your time at the DOE and what that really meant. You have a very valid point of view from your perspective. And from that, he gave me both a flames, which is really good. I mean, it's like, yeah, you're flaming fucking on point, and a thumbs up at 1:21 p.m. Now, didn't hear shit back. Conversation went cold. I followed back on May 30th, 2022. Apparently, this was like 8 months after he was already dead. Kevin, want to reconnect with you here involving the topic of the phenomenon. UAP government factions attempting to cover this up contrary to the will of Congress. But unfortunately, on June 11th, 2022, a member of a member was removed from this conversation. This is a mess. Gene, your thoughts on this one? Love to hear it. Is he still with us? No? Mike? Daryl? Anybody?
Gene's still in the back, but yeah.
He may be in the laboratory. Thomas.
Yeah, he may be dropping off the kids at the pool.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
That's the way to say it, my friend. Never say the lavatory. Either he's in the library or may have stepped out to drop the kids off in the pool.
There you go.
But
That
anyway, this is like holy shit moments. I was talking with this guy he died on August 31st in less than a month and 3/4, right? Before he died.
6 weeks. Before
6
he
weeks.
Died, yeah.
Before he fucking died.
It's,
from the Department of Energy.
Well, we know that's where a lot of the secrets are held.
Oh, God,
At
yeah.
the Department of Energy.
Why?
Yeah.
Really quick, I just want to go ahead and thank everybody out there who went out there and actually looked at the Aurora Borealis last night, because I said go out and do it if you're in the northern states. This is from Minnesota. The place where they have the best version of democracy, Mike. No, they're trying to go ahead and disguise socialism as democracy. Either way, this is from Minnesota last night. It was freaking amazing. There was a show going on multiple channels. I have all the different stuff that I go through on a regular basis. So if you went outside and you looked up, because I told you to look up, Mike, it happened again.
Those are beautiful pictures, Thomas.
Oh, God, yeah. So back to David Childress. This just kind of hits home. Now, did Nick give it to us again? No, he didn't. There was God, I need to see if I can find this. I need to find the Queen, Nancy Grace. Of a bitch. I didn't bookmark it. Come on.
So he did an interview with Nancy Grace at one point.
Lou Elizondo did.
Talking about Childress.
Yes. God, I found the video. I've got this. This is from 3 hours ago. Nick, are you there? Nick. I need you to pop out, please. Say the magic word 3 times. He should appear. All right.
No.
So I found the video, I think.
Bombshell.
All right. This is scary. This is really scary stuff, my friends. This is like we found the Antichrist, Mike, to go up against Susan Goff.
Yeah.
Tonight.
The worst fucking nightmare.
Oh my! Oh fuck yeah! If I could find me, where's it? Here we go. From YouTube. Let's get to it on YouTube.
Bombshell tonight.
This is the one where I think this should be it. Let's bring it around. I need to find out where Lou Elizondo was on here for this. Okay, there's Lou.
You got it.
There she is talking about it. Okay, so David Childress, he was head of security for the DOE at a specific location.
Thomas, sorry, Thomas,
yes.
You're confusing a few people. You keep saying David Childress.
Oh, sorry, Kevin Childress. Yeah. Kevin Childress. David Childress is the one from Ancient Aliens. Kevin Childress is the one who went and got, that's why I didn't find a result on X. Oh. Wait a minute.
Bombshell.
Actually, I have it. Get to it. Bombshell. No, this is the wrong one. This is the same stuff. Let's get to this one talking about Kevin. The right one. Okay, let's play it. It's Kevin Childress, not David Childress. Kevin Childress was head of security for one location for the Department of Energy. He knew what was going on with UFOs and he wanted to bring out the truth. He had reached out to Lou Elizondo. He had been set to go ahead and interview with the Senate and the House. And then he suddenly died. Unexpected from a heart attack. Let's play Nancy Grace and see where it goes.
Magazine describing what is a forensic quandary, a conundrum, a Rubik's Cube, so to speak. Because
holy shit.
in our world,
did you hear that? She said Rubik's Cube. That's one of the programs from the federal government. Holy shit.
That Dylan Borland doesn't want to talk about an SAP about UAPs. Yep.
Someone had to tell her about that.
Yeah, no kidding.
She ain't going to say that normally. Wow.
Right.
Wow, wow, wow. You heard on Disclosure tonight. Oh, my God. And from Nancy Grace. But if you've ever watched Boston Legal, that's Gracie Jane.
Yep.
Conundrum.
Exactly.
A Rubik's Cube, so to speak. Because in our world of hard evidence, a scent doesn't just disappear unless that person, maybe, was put in a vehicle and the dog loses the scent. But
that's the same thing, Mike, that happened with McCasland. He potentially got into a vehicle in his backyard that remote viewers have seen as like a four-wheel ATV for two people to sit in it.
Yeah,
that's
so
where
he
the cadaver
obviously had
dogs
help.
got to a point and his scent stopped.
Yeah.
Now, wow.
It makes sense as far as Monica Jacinto Reza's disappearance. She was on the side of a mountain.
And that's about her. Let's get to David Childress.
Kevin Childress was found
I
dead.
keep on saying it. It's Kevin Childress, not David Childress. David Childress is from Ancient Aliens. It's my fault. No, you know what's the fault of? National security, folks. Remember, Daryl, national security. You there? No.
Kevin Childress was found dead unexpectedly. And I'm going to go to Dave Mack shortly about how many of these scientists are dead, but there's no medical examiner's report.
Okay.
And there's no official cause of death.
Lou Jimenez, if you're out there, you have an interview of this guy on UCR. Fucking undelete it. It's hidden from your channel right now. Nobody can see it. You interview this guy. This is your opportunity to go ahead and help bring out the truth, because your interview was within weeks of when this guy fucking kicked off.
Thomas, my apologies. I had to move my bowels.
Who?
I had to move my bowels. You just bowel.
Okay.
Remember bowel? You just brought up bowel a minute ago.
Okay. Sorry.
Death. How can that be?
Wow.
Even when my step-grandfather passed away of a heart attack in the home with my grandma there, they did an autopsy to determine what really happened. He was 88 years old. They did an autopsy, and it was a heart attack. Why no autopsy?
Bingo, bingo, bongo. She's on target. Again, a whistleblower from the DOE. Now, Mike, didn't, what do you call it? We hear that, what do you call it? Lakatsky was dealing with the DOE and Q clearance.
Yes, he actually slipped that out in the interview
that
he was doing with George Knapp. And that was the craft that he got access to that they recovered.
Right, that he went inside of.
Right, it was from the Department of Energy.
So they have
Correct.
a craft that's physically there. They breached the system to get to the interior, and this is what they saw on the inside. Yeah.
He said no official CODs. That's a whole nother can of worms. But I want to get back to Kevin Childress.
Bingo.
Joining me now is Lou Elizondo, former U.S. Army Counterintelligence Special Agent, former employee, Office Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence, former Director, Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, and UFO whistleblower. Wow. Mr. Elizondo, I want to thank you for being with us tonight. You have refused in the past to give me the name Kevin Childress, but I found it elsewhere. Kevin Childress, and correct me if I am wrong, was set to have a meeting describing very, very sensitive scientific information. He was going to Congress and talking about what was in the UAP files. And then suddenly he's found dead on a sofa. And there was never an autopsy. What can you tell me about Kevin Childress other than he was brilliant? That much I already know.
Sure. Well, Nancy, thank you very much for having me. It's certainly an honor and privilege. You're absolutely correct. Kevin Childress was a senior special agent with the Department of Energy. And as you continue to look at some of these other cases, there are definitely ties. When you're talking about a national laboratory, there are always ties with the Department of Energy. And so in this particular case, Special Agent Kevin Childress was the special agent in charge. He was there at headquarters at the Department of Energy. And he had reached out to me. This is right after I left the Pentagon. And he was very concerned. He said, look, the Department of Energy has a significant role in the UAP business. And I'm pretty upset by what I have access to. And now that I've raised it through my chain of command, I feel that the Department of Energy is trying to keep me quiet. So I'm worried about that. But there's a lot of information. This is what he's saying that I have access to. And I would love a chance to talk to somebody in Congress about it. So I was in the process of arranging a meeting between Special Agent Kevin Childress and some members of.
Now, just for context, this is the time Lou Elizondo was appearing on Unidentified Celebrity Review on a regular basis. This is the start of him kind of coming out. But again, and we look at this back, and it was probably around July 8th, 2021.
Congress. Back in the 2020, 2021 timeframe. And to spare the family, they want to be cognizant of their privacy. Let's just say his spouse is extremely well trained in the medical field.
All right. So there we go. We've got someone who's in the medical field who's looking at this person and is understanding, and she would have known if her husband is near death because what's going on.
And I think it was a surprise to everybody. She had left for work that morning. He seemed fine. She came home that evening, and he was dead on the sofa. And clearly, I had some surprise as well when I heard this news. But if you look at his obituary, which I find very interesting, specifically one of the last paragraphs, it talks about his interest in the UAP topic. And that's actually what was the basis for our conversation we were going to have in Congress. I was going to bring him there as a whistleblower and allow him to speak his piece.
Can we identify that, please? Unidentified aerial phenomena. That's what we're talking about, UAP.
This just hits home.
That's correct.
Unidentified.
It sounds very...
I saw him as the same kind of a person because the Department of Energy was put together in 1954. And they had, what was it, what agreement did we have, Mike, in 1954?
The Atomic Energy Act of 1954, Thomas.
Okay. Atomic Energy Act of 1954 was put in place after we had everything with World War II. It was one of the things that was put in place not just to go ahead and cover up what was going on with their nuclear arsenal, but they also took the incident in 1947 the Roswell crash, embedded it within the secrecy of the Department of Energy, and they completely hid all of this stuff, Mike, from it. And it's great to see Lou and, oh my God, Nancy going after it. You know, She was actually called out as she was actually, if anyone's watched Blacklist out there, I have. Actually, not the Blacklist, Boston Legal. They had a character called Gracie Jane. That's Nancy. But amazing that this is coming to the fucking reality of the public, because you know what? I reached out to David. I tried to get in contact with him. A year, 8 months later, he was dead. But it just, some people want to go ahead and normalize that what we're looking at. It's just a family. They found out he had a, what do you call it? An account on X, and we just wanted to delete all the data that he had said before. Does that make sense to you? My mom has social media accounts. When she died, the family didn't reach out to delete all the social media accounts because she died. No, we left it up there in memorial for her, right?
Right, but just to set the record straight for the audience, it's Kevin Childress.
Thank you.
David,
sorry,
like you keep saying.
Kevin Childress. Sorry.
Yep.
Mr. Childress, I'll call it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it seems like he had an interesting story to tell, but never got the opportunity to tell it.
No, he didn't. And I was talking with him shortly before he passed. He poked up his head in social media. He showed up in the chat on YouTube. He came online. I need to find out. God, we need to get.
It sounds to me like we're going to need to have a private conversation with Lou about this.
Well, Lou, not that Lou. The other Lou, because the other Lou has the fucking interview.
Yeah, but that fat fuck hates us.
Don't say that now. Shit. My God. Yeah, but he's the one who has the evidence.
Lou Buffet. Anything.
Son of a bitch.
Buried. We'll talk to the other Lou and get to the bottom of what really was going on with Kevin Childress.
Yeah.
That we can do.
We can do
Lou
that,
Buffet,
but it's
on the
just...
other hand, isn't going to do anything. I doubt it.
What did Rick call it as? The termination clause?
Yeah. He did. But you know what? We'll get to the bottom of it. We usually do.
We do. And you know what? A
lot of information. This is what
we have to reach out to Nancy Grace, because we have information that she hasn't seen before.
You're saying that I have access. So I was in the process of a chance to talk to somebody in Congress about it. So I was in the process of arranging a meeting between Special Agent Kevin Childress and some members of Congress back in the 2020, 2021 timeframe.
It was 2021.
To spare
because we have the dates, was specifically July 7th, 2021 that I talked with him.
The family, they want to be cognizant of their privacy. Let's just say his spouse is extremely well trained in the medical field. And I think it was a surprise to everybody. She had left for work that morning. He seemed fine. She came home that evening and he was dead on the sofa. And clearly I had some surprise as well when I heard this news. But if you look at his obituary, which I find very interesting, specifically one of the last paragraphs, it talks about his interest in the UAP topic. And that's actually what was the basis for our conversation we were going to have in Congress. I was going to bring him there as a whistleblower and allow him to speak his piece.
Can we identify that, please? Unidentified aerial phenomena. That's what we're talking about, UAP.
That's correct.
Unidentified.
Oh, God, I need a clip of that.
It sounds very conspiratorial, but the reality is that our government has spent a lot of time,
Gene, does this sound conspiratorial, or does this sound like someone trying to killing the leak in the dike before the dam breaks? Mike,
I believe Gene has left the call.
Mike, what do you think?
A while ago. I think it's highly suspicious. I would like to know more about what Kevin Childress was going to speak about. That's got my curiosity.
Yeah.
And the only one left who knows is Lou. So we'll have to have a private talk with him and see what we can find out.
Oh, my God. I actually have to message Loeb.
No, he's not.
I think he means
No, that Lou, but the person who has the keys to the kingdom, who has the interview with Kevin Childress shortly before he died, literally is Lou Jimenez.
What are you doing?
No matter how we look at it, he's got the evidence and the details that everyone needs to see, because he had the interview after the conversation that I had, which was closer to the guy's death than I was talking to him. Right. I was communicating with him on X when I saw him in the chat before they brought him into the show.
Lou may be too busy with his keys to the Golden Corral, so you might have to fight for some time.
No, but the only buddy who if there's anybody that's out there that has a copy of this interview, you need to take it, contact us, Thomas@disclosuretonight.com, and we'll bring it out. But we need to find this interview, because this is someone who's a whistleblower who got fucking killed, potentially. He had a heart attack at 56. Well, that can happen. That's really young, Daryl, isn't it? Considering our
We're
ages.
talking about Matthew Sullivan. How old was Matthew Sullivan?
Yeah.
I don't think he was that old.
No. Not at all.
But what I'm saying, Thomas, is that we have more than one opportunity to try to get to the bottom of this. And we'll exercise all available options to see what we can find out.
100%. We have to.
Yeah.
That includes me contacting Nancy Grace.
Yep. Good luck with that.
Well,
I think you're just starstruck. You're just starstruck, Thomas.
Yep.
Holy shit.
Resources looking into the topic of UAP, or what was known in the vernacular as UFOs in the past. And of course, people like to snicker and giggle about it, but the reality is we took it very seriously, and we spent a lot of money, taxpayer money, looking into this, because we had, in some cases, almost mid-air collisions between a UAP or a UFO, if you want to call it that, and military aircraft. We also saw the things over controlled U.S. airspace, over sensitive military installations, over nuclear facilities. And this is why Department of Energy is so important here, because the nuclear tie it may be actually something that we need to look at. All these scientists...
It's not just a nuclear tie, Daryl. It's the tie back to... the Department of Energy deals with all energy sources for everything within the United States government, from electric all the way to nuclear and fusion and beyond. So the only organization that would be interested in the power systems from the United States government, while all the different areas would have interest in it, the one that has the ultimate power and ability to go ahead and do the research and pull it from everybody else is the Department of Energy. That's why Lakatsky has talked so much about the craft that we had, and he had Q clearance, which is specifically from the Department of Energy. It's really high up.
And was that who Lewis did? This guy? I'm just going to say Mr. Childress, because I don't want to state the wrong
Kevin
name.
Childress.
So he worked for the Department of Energy, right?
Yeah.
And I heard Lou refer to him as a special agent for the Department of Energy. Now, I've never heard that terminology. I've heard of, physicists, astrophysicists, biologists, but special agent.
Yeah, he was in security, Daryl. That's why he was a special agent.
But that must be some special security. It's not like the guy standing at the guard check, right?
No, it isn't. But they spend 10 times more in their budget on security than they do anything else. Right, Thomas?
Yeah, well, they spend 10 times over. So let's get into this one. There was another one I had, Department of Energy assistant. He was assistant special agent in charge, Kevin Childress, and he was going to be a UFO whistleblower. While in talks to provide testimony to Congress, he died unexpectedly of a heart attack. Lou Elizondo was arranging for Kevin to meet with members of Congress when he was found dead in his home by his wife, who's a medical professional, on August 31st, 2021. Childress described himself as a lifelong experiencer to those in the UFO community in the months prior to his death. And that's why it's important to go ahead and track down that interview of him on Unidentified Celebrity Review by Lou Jimenez. He's got the frickin' tapes that we all need to see. We need to get everybody besides me to go out there and frickin' beg Lou to bring out the truth about David Childress, because he has the interview probably weeks before his death, Mike. Or less.
I know, but I think what's even more important than that for the interview is the actual information that he had and that he shared with Lou. Elizondo.
Yeah.
Not buffet.
I know. But
so that's how I'm looking at it.
It's a spider web of information and trying to find out where we can get to on this.
Yeah. We'll have to dig and get to the bottom of this one way or the other.
Yeah. We will. We absolutely will. On that note, holy cow. What a great show, my friend. Happy Saturday, everybody. Bunch of people hanging out for the show tonight. Great opportunity to hang out with friends. Mike, we've had a lot of great stuff going on tonight. It's been a hoot and a half.
Fun conversation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good episode tonight.
Absolutely. I wanted to go ahead and thank everybody who's given us some super chats tonight. Who the heck am I talking about? Let's see if I can go ahead and find that list and bring it up. No, not like that. I want to get fan funding. I want to go ahead and thank those who have given us some super chats tonight. Let me go ahead and bring this up in a way so everybody can see it, because the people actually started sharing some, support for what we do here, Mike, before the show started. So let's get into this one. Guest Thomas, here we go. I want to go ahead and thank first off
I don't know who that is.
Moses Kelly, thank you very much for starting off the super chats tonight. Followed by, we had Spyrex. Thank you for the hard work y'all do behind the scenes. Also, we're not perfect, but proud to be an American on leading the world in this subject. Absolutely. Also coming in from J-Shack. Recently discovered this channel. Thank you for the information you guys provide and the insights. Thank you very much. Absolutely. And then next coming from Amanda. Great show. Thanks again for everything that you cover. And last super chat we got tonight coming from Brian Pemble. Not surprised, Mike. Daryl, are you still with us?
Oh, yeah. National security?
National security. There we go, friends. Right. Absolutely.
No longer a virgin of national security.
Oh, there we go, my friend. And then, as we usually say at the end of every episode of Disclosure tonight, eyes open, no fear, be safe, everybody. But
go back to Party City where you belong.
Absolutely. We'll see you soon, everybody. Maybe tomorrow, if not on Monday. Y'all take care now, right, Mike?
Like and subscribe before you leave.
God, yeah. If you're still watching, 383 people watching at the end of the show, please subscribe. Please give us a thumbs up. We've worked hard for this, right, Mike?
Absolutely, Thomas.
And it's how much does it cost?
Oh, it's absolutely free, but we will give you a double your money back guarantee if you're not happy.
My liquor store bill seems to have gone up though in the last week, so I'm not really sure.
What
the hell is going on? His liquor store bill.
Oh, that's okay. No, mine has actually been steady at a bottle a week, so not bad. Remember, Kirkland Signature Vodka from Costco. It's the 5 times filter from the American Blend, the best choice you can get, the cheapest price in America, and it is freaking better than Sky Vodka or Absolute. Just saying. Good night, everybody. See you soon. Bye-bye.